In a time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. Big Brother is watching you. 1984. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. 1984. The most effective way to destroy people is to deny and to obliterate their own understanding of their history. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Animal Farm. If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear. Power is in tearing human minds to pieces and putting them together again in new shapes of your own choosing. 1984. Doublethink means the power of holding to contradictory beliefs in one's mind simultaneously and accepting both of them. 1984. Perhaps one did not want to be loved so much as to be understood. 1984. Freedom is the freedom to say that, to plus, to make for. If that is granted, all else follows. 1984. The object of power is power. 1984. Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. 1984. The best books, are those that tell you what you know already. 1984. To see what is in front of one's nose needs a constant struggle. The essence of being human is that one does not seek perfection. The further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those who speak it. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. 1984. Until they became conscious, they will never rebel. And until after they have rebelled, they cannot become conscious. 1984. It's a beautiful thing, the destruction of words. 1984. Orthodoxy means not thinking, not needing to think. Orthodoxy is unconsciousness. 1984. Every generation imagines itself to be more intelligent than the one that went before it, and wiser and the one that comes after it. The people will believe what the media tells them they believe. If you want to keep a secret, you must also hide it from yourself. 1984. The choice for mankind lies between freedom and happiness, and for the great bulk of mankind, happiness is better. 1984. We sleep safe in our beds because rough men stand ready in the night to visit violence on those who would do us harm. Reality exists in the human mind and nowhere else. 1984. The great enemy of clear language is insincerity. In our age, there is no such thing as keeping out of politics. All issues are political issues. Man is the only creature that consumes without producing. Animal Farm. The revolution will be complete when the language is perfect. 1984. Men can only be happy when they do not assume that the object of life is happiness. To survive it is often necessary to fight, and to fight you have to dirty yourself. All the war propaganda, all the screaming and lies and hatred comes invariably from people who are not fighting. The quickest way of ending a war is to lose it, for the ordinary man is passive. Within a narrow circle, he feels himself master of his fate, but against major events, he is as helpless as against the elements. All tyrannies rule through fraud and force, but once the fraud is exposed, they must rely exclusively on force. At 50, everyone has the face he deserves. To an ordinary human being, love means nothing if it does not mean loving some people more than others. The smell of hypocrisy is the smell of corruption. In the face of pain, there are no heroes. 1984. Society has always seemed to demand a little more from human beings than it will get in practice. Happiness can exist only in acceptance. Every war when it comes or before it comes, is represented not as a war, but as an act of self-defense against a homicidal maniac. Power is not a means, it is an end. 1984. The very concept of objective truth is fading out of the world. Lies will pass into history. The party seeks power entirely for its own sake. We are not interested in the good of others. We are interested solely in power. 1984. Threats to freedom of speech, writing, and action, though often trivial in isolation, are cumulative in their effect and, unless checked, lead to a general disrespect for the rights of the citizen. One does not establish a dictatorship in order to safeguard a revolution. One makes a revolution in order to establish a dictatorship. 1984. Nationalism is power hunger tempered by self-deception. Sometimes the first duty of intelligent men is the restatement of the obvious. For legs good, 2 legs bad, Animal Farm. No one ever seizes power with the intention of relinquishing it. 1984. In moments of crisis, one is never fighting against an external enemy, but always against one's own body. 1984. To know and not to know, to be conscious of complete truthfulness while telling carefully constructed lies. 1984. If there is hope, it lies in the proles. 1984. The past was erased, the erasure was forgotten, the lie became the truth. 1984. There are some ideas so absurd that only an intellectual could believe them. The choice is always to believe or to disbelieve. Language ought to be the joint creation of poets and manual workers. The imagination, like certain wild animals, will not breed in captivity. Every record has been destroyed or falsified, every book rewritten, every picture has been repainted, every statue and street building has been renamed. 1984. One defeats the fanatic precisely by not being a fanatic oneself. For a creative writer, possession of the truth is less important than emotional sincerity. The ministry of peace concerns itself with war, the ministry of truth with lies, the ministry of love with torture. 1984. One has to belong to the intelligentsia to believe things like that. No ordinary man could be such a fool.